welcome to Media Lit, where we treat each piece of media like great literature. I am your host, Randy Elaine, and joining me, as always, is my good buddy, Chris Ingersoll. Chris, how you doing tonight, man?
So good, Randy. It's a two-pod week, two nights in a row this week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lost episode. We've got wonderful guests. It's going to be a fun night. How are
Yeah,
you?
no. Oh, I'm incredibly great, and I talked over you a little bit, Chris, because I'm just like chomping at the bit to get started because I could not be more excited about our guests tonight.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to introduce one, and then I'm going to let you introduce our main event guest.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
get yourself pumped up, and we are going to roll right through this. But first, joining us as he almost always does, it's our resident lost doctor, Dr. John Aspler. John, it's been way too long since we podcasted with you. It's so great to see your smile. How you feeling tonight?
I am great. A little tired with the newborn, but overall delighted as always to be chatting with you lovely people about Lost.
Well, you are in luck because this is a hype pod. So we are going to get that energy up. Chris, who and what are we hyping?
I am so thrilled to welcome back to the pod. I mean, Lost fandom royalty,
Hmm.
Joe Garfein, not just Lost royalty, but most importantly, the heart and the mind behind the Cancer Gets Lost nonprofit and the incredible auctions they run year over year. So tonight we're welcoming Joe back so we can hype the 2025 auction that's happening in just a few weeks. Joe, welcome back to Media Lit.
Thank you guys for having me. It's nice to see your faces and not just hear your voices this time. And it's always a pleasure to talk with my Lost nerds, especially when we're on the precipice of a charity auction. Even though it's not all Lost focused, we have like 30 different shows, 20 different films. We're always going to, we have to go back, as they say. And I like to say we have to give back, which is why Cancer
Hmm.
Gets Lost exists. So thanks for having me back.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you here. The work that your nonprofit does is just, it's always important, it's always relevant, it's always on our minds. Everyone's life has been touched by cancer in some way. Um, I don't think there's anyone who can say that that has not been part of their experience. Unfortunately, it's a battle that we are always fighting. Um, and when I see someone like Joe Garfine, it gives me hope. I was really excited to meet Joe last fall at the Getting Lost documentary, one of the nationwide premieres, where we got to meet and chat. And she was so kind and warm and invited us directly into this community. If you want more Joe after this, you can go back to December for our Getting Lost documentary hype pod. When Joe's around, it's always about the hype. Uh, but tonight we are putting Cancer Gets Lost, the nonprofit, front and center, and we want to get you hyped up for some of the items that are going to appear uh, very shortly, August 15th through 23rd. We've got two lost numbers in those dates to make it easy to remember. And you can go to cancergetslost.org for more information. But we are going to be showcasing some of those items and properties that are available tonight. Chris, do you want to shout out that one other uh, special person we were talking about before the pod?
I'm not prepared to do that. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. The reason I asked Chris this question, if you listen to this pod, you know it's a very personal podcast for myself and Chris. We love to be emotional. We love to be vulnerable. I just mentioned that we got to meet Joe for the first time back in November, and it's been a really great friendship so far. But the reason I was so excited about Joe in the first place and about Cancer Gets Lost is I first heard Joe on the Storm podcast. This is a podcast from a few of my favorite podcasters, Dave Neal and Joanna Robinson of The Storm, a Lost Rewatch podcast. They got me excited about this event. I joined their podcasting community. That is how Chris and John both came into my life. Um, and Joanna, who is a good friend of Joe Garfine's as well, recently made a really public announcement about a cancer diagnosis, which is not mine to share. But the reason I bring it up is just because she made this very bold and brave choice to share her story publicly online, and she has some really incredible advice for people about there about advocating for yourself. I just wanted to shout out how special she is as a podcaster and a person, and the timing of that with this pod. It felt like something that had to come up. Um, if I said it all, that's okay. But if anyone has anything they'd like to add, please feel free to jump in.
I mean, I just saw Joanna Robinson a few days ago at Comic-Con in San Diego, and it was very nice to give her a giant hug, knowing what she's going through. But she's very strong. She's
Hmm.
Mm.
resilient.
Oh yeah.
She's going to kick cancer's ass, and they have all the confidence in the world that she will. And I think she, in her heart, knows that she will. So, but you're absolutely right. It is so important to advocate for yourself, and so many people don't know how. So even
Mhm.
just watching a video that, I said to her in the comment section something like, the people who need to hear what you're saying will find your video at the time that they need to hear what you're saying
Hmm.
because it takes a lot to build up for people to reach out to someone for help on any level, let alone for yourself. And so I think that she did a great service for people to look out for themselves and listen to your bodies. I think we all like to ignore our bodies and the aches
Hmm.
and pains,
Mhm.
but sometimes there's a persistent something, and that could be something. So I think, if you're interested, you could go. Her Instagram, I believe, is Joe Wrote This.
Yep.
And so you can go find John Robinson's video if you're interested. And, there are other such cases of people sharing their stories online, but Joanna is a figure that we all know and love and is connected to the lost community. So we wish her nothing but the best moving
Yes.
forward.
Mhm. Yeah. So loving, so vulnerable and brave of Joanna.
Hmm.
So just sending her all the love.
Yes. Yes. So
Yes.
please support yourselves, support your loved ones. Um, and I guess the last thing I should say before we get into the fun side of this podcast, is that, every year Cancer Gets Lost supports different organizations that are digging into different types of cancer research and support. Joe, which organization are you connected with for this upcoming auction in August?
For the 2025 online charity auction, Cancer Against Loss is donating 100%, every cent raised of the proceeds from this auction to the Lymphoma Research Foundation. And we've worked with them before on smaller auctions, but we wanted to donate all of our proceeds because I lost my father to a rare blood cancer a couple years ago. And then my brother was diagnosed with an entirely different rare blood cancer. Now, the good news is that as of right now, he's in remission. So it's
Yes.
the best possible scenario,
Congratulations.
but there are so many other families out there, like countless families
Hmm.
that have lost people to blood cancers and also have currently are facing it. So survivors and their families and the Lymphoma Research Foundation, they advocate for patients. They fund research for the cures for the different blood cancers, and there's so many of them. So they're a wonderful organization. Very happy to be able to donate our proceeds. And yeah, every year we choose a different cancer charity, donate them all. Sometimes we raise $5,000, sometimes we raise $60,000. So they're always very grateful. And if I may, I'm not making it political, but I would just say that the cuts to cancer funding have made a massive black hole
Mhm.
in it. So cancer
Right.
charities are looking for new ways to fundraise. I have been doing this for 13 years. A lot of people are asking me questions on how they can sort of do this kind of thing on a smaller scale, or if Cancer Gets
Hmm.
Lost can fundraise for them. Whereas before, I always went to different cancer charities and asked them if they're interested. You'd be surprised some people don't get back to me the money they didn't get
Hmm.
from me because they didn't respond to an email, which is
Wow.
fine. But right now, with the new normal, with the cuts to cancer research funding, there is much more of a need for my kind of fundraising, which is sort of grassroots.
Yep.
I am a one-person machine. I run Cancer Castasa as a full-time volunteer. I don't get salaried. I donate every cent to a different charity every year. So I'm more motivated than ever now, not just because of my family, but for everyone out there who has cancer or will be getting cancer, and also the researchers, the doctors, the people who need the funds to be able to move us toward a cure, many cures.
Yes. And thank you so much for that, Joe.
Yeah.
Now, you have been working your butt off getting some incredible items into this auction. So let me just let our guests know how this is going to work tonight. We often do a deep dive into a single episode of Lost, but we were trying to figure out how can we talk about Lost while keeping the nonprofit at the top of the conversation and also finding room to talk about all of these other properties who and people who have donated items to this auction. So what we landed on was a series of mini games that are going to tie back to Lost time and time again, while giving us an excuse to dig into some of these other properties. I think Joe's picked out a few items to showcase for us on video, which I'm really excited for. I won't say what it is right now. There's one item I'm really hoping I get to glimpse before all is said and done, but we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. Um, but Joe, when this started, most of the props came from Lost. Um,
Yes.
the network of people who worked on that show were still close together. The buzz for Lost was still at its loudest, and as we all know, that fandom has not died out. Um, but it doesn't permeate the zeitgeist in quite the same way. So you've expanded into a lot of other properties. That being said, we got to start with Lost. Do you have any items you can show us from our beloved Lost?
Of course. Okay, so to backtrack for a second, because I don't know that everyone who's watching this knows exactly what Cancer Gets Lost is, and I know we did a whole episode about it, but
Hmm.
basically, like I said, we host online charity auctions every year and donate our proceeds to a different cancer charity. The auctions feature pop culture collectibles. I try and find and things are
Hmm.
donated that are rare or signed or both.
Yep.
And this year we've expanded a little. We have movies and TV, but now we have music, we have books, and we have some sports apparel. So we've
Nice.
expanded because the donations have expanded. So I'm experimenting to see if those, raise any good money or not.
Yeah.
But we always have to give homage to the OG, to Lost, because that inspired the creation of Cancer Gets Lost. Like you
Mhm.
said, we've then expanded because the people who worked on that show, to a person, have been absolutely incredible. I still
Hmm.
literally just saw Michael Giacchino, and the stuff he gives me is unbelievable. I'm like, you won an Oscar for this, and you're giving me this? Great, thank you so much. Jorge, Michael Emerson, they move on to their shows. They tell their teams. We're talking creative teams, crews, other cast members. Then they move on, and I in the put in the back
Hmm.
of their head, hey, that wrap gift you got that you're going to throw in your closet, if you donate that to Cancer Gets Lost, that mug that has season 4 of From, or Person of Interest, someone's going to spend $100 on that, and that goes directly to charity.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
then that gets in their mind, and then every once in a while I get an email, or some people just ship me a box. I don't even know it's coming, and they go, "Here's all my stuff." Great, thank you. But going back to it, obviously Lost. We first started with just Lost stuff. We don't do big
Hmm.
props. We do like screen use shirts. We do authentic scripts, just because I don't really have room to store large props. And I'm actually cutting down on posters because those are so expensive to ship. Good Lord.
Hmm.
But as you have heard, Getting Lost is a documentary. I'm one of the producers. Director Taylor Morden put together this amazing documentary for the 20th anniversary of the show last year. We had world premiere in Los Angeles on September 22nd, which they worked their asses off. Sorry, I cussed. To make sure that we
Please.
could, okay, world premiere our documentary on the day the show premiered 20 years later. It was pretty, and it at near LAX. So it was pretty special.
Epic.
And so we had a premiere, and there we had a bunch of actors show up, and a bunch of actors showed
Oh,
up, and they
wow.
signed this mini poster for Cancer Gets Lost
Ooh.
for this very auction. We're talking about Bai Ling, who is as
Yes.
interesting in person as she appears. She was trying to live stream our conversation.
Yes.
I mean, she's wild, wild. But yeah,
Hmm.
so a bunch of Lost actors have signed that, and um, I'm gonna go out of order here if you don't mind, just because things
Please.
are out of order. It's Lost adjacent.
That's okay.
Harold Perrineau, who played Michael on Lost,
Hmm.
got to hang out with him and the cast of From last year at
Nice.
Comic-Con, and they donated this
Ooh,
mini poster for their next season that they all signed. So that was very cool. And I love stuff like this
Awesome.
nice.
because it's easy to sign, and it's easy to ship. It's cheaper to ship than large posters,
Mm.
and it's a nice frameable collectible. A lot of people know I'm very close to the cast of The 100. It's a sci-fi show that has come and gone on the CW. It had 7 seasons. I pretend there were 5 seasons. That's just
Hmm.
my
Yes,
personal opinion.
absolutely.
Thank
I
you so
agree. I
much.
loved the 5 season show, The 100. Agreed.
Thank you. And I'm very good friends with a lot of the cast, and I can joke about it with them and say this on camera. But
There you go.
I moderate their convention. They have a local Boston convention called
Yeah.
Con Again, and they've done it the last few years. And I moderate for them. I moderate their panels. So they all sign this poster.
Oh,
Oh,
So
nice.
beautiful.
it's like 11, I don't even 11 or 14 of the cast. This is from 2 years ago's con. So that'll be in there as well. And then speaking of Lost adjacent, Michael Giacchino, who is won an Oscar for writing the score for Up. donated sheet music from Up,
Oh,
and he
wow.
signed it.
Whoa.
And that is the song that makes everyone cry on Up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And he also threw in a signed score from The Batman, the Robert Pattinson film.
Oh,
Come on.
boy.
He threw in a signed score from Lost that I'm holding on to for a future Lost auction because I got to hold on to that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and then he did the Star Trek, all three themes from this last three Star Trek films. He signed some music for that. I mean,
Wow.
the
Oh,
I
guy's
no,
think
incredible.
I think I just saw Chris Ingersoll's wallet like float out of his pocket and start dumping money when you mentioned that Batman
I need
piece.
the Batman piece.
Well, the good news is you get free delivery because if you live within an hour of Boston, I hate shipping. It's like the bane of my existence for all auctions. So I put this on the website today. If you live within an hour of Boston, let's arrange to meet at a coffee shop and I will drop off your items and thank you in person.
I was gonna say we're neighbors. We're a town away. I'll come see you. No
We're
problem.
neighbors. I
Yeah.
love your Boston accent. I keep forgetting. And it's not it's related to Michael Giacchino did the score for the new Fantastic Four movie, which I have not seen yet, but I'm
Yeah.
going to go see this
Yeah.
weekend. And so at Comic-Con this weekend, I acquired a bunch of these limited edition pins, and some of their heads swivel.
Nice.
So like the Human Torch has his head, and this swivels down to the Human Torch, and this giant Galactus pin, and it's all related because
Fantastic.
of Giacchino. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, and I have a Fantastic Four T-shirt. And then I have some ridiculous fun things like, I don't know, a Peacemaker mask. So
Yes.
Do you
You know,
really,
I don't-
Mana?
exactly. Although it's a new theme song,
It is new.
for season
Yeah.
2. It's just this plastic thing, but someone might want it for Halloween. This was
Yeah.
an offsite at Comic-Con last week. And then this is from the final ever Fringe panel at Comic-Con in 2012. It's the Observer
What?
Observer
come
Fedora.
on.
That's so good.
That's
I know,
so
isn't that
good.
cool? I love
Gorgeous,
it.
gorgeous
I
stuff.
love it. And like I said, we also have movies and stuff. So I have an Elphaba Pop signed by Cynthia Erivo.
Dude.
I know. I know. It's one of these like scenes. It's like her in Emerald City. So I mean,
Is it signed in like an emerald green pen?
it is. It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, that's good. That's really
And
good.
I'm going out of order here, but that's how I put these items down. So I told you about Getting Lost. It's not available. You could rent it on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, but it's not available on disc, except that I have a copy.
Wow.
I have a Blu-ray copy donated by Taylor Morton, the director. Thank you so much. It comes with a little mini poster of that right there, some Getting Lost stickers, pins, etc. And so I have a sealed Blu-ray, one of the only ones available in the world. So that'll be in the auction as well.
Nice.
Physical
And whoever
media.
wins it, if you want me to sign it, I will sign your DVD case on the back. I'm just saying, as someone who appears in it and is one of the producers.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you now what I think might be our biggest ticket item. At least I'm hoping it raises as much money as something that isn't lost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Oh.
Time Magazine. I'm getting the reflection here. Let me take it out of the cover here. I haven't taken it out of the cover, but I will for you guys because
Oh,
you know,
just for
I-
us, ladies and gentlemen.
so this is Taylor Swift on the cover of Time Magazine, signed by Taylor Swift.
Oh, come on.
How did we get this?
I'm not going to give away my sources, but
That's
I work.
okay.
Okay.
I will just say that because of what I do, I work with a lot of people who have overstock of autographs.
Okay.
Okay.
From conventions, etc. And they reach out to me and offer me, a low price. And obviously this is something I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Yes. The answer is always going to be yes. We also have smaller things like signed photos by Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Ever
buddy.
heard of him?
Beautiful.
Ever heard of him, lads? Yes. Huge fan
Nice.
of huge fan of Wheel of Time. Super mad that they got canceled.
Yes.
Agreed.
One of the executive producers, Justine, is one of my best friends in the entire world. So she had a cast like Rosamund Pike and Sophie Okonedo sign. This is just
Wow.
cover. There's no script, but it's an actual cover. So she sent me this from Europe when they were working on the show, which is so nice. And this is my other big ticket item that I hope raises the most money. And I'm going to take it out of the bag because I know there's a glare now. So I appreciate you hanging with me. This is, I would say, pretty rare. It is a Lost pilot script signed by 11 of the cast. And
Oh,
we're
wow.
talking, it was signed in season 3 because Elizabeth Mitchell is on here. So
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
The Elizabeth Mitchell?
and it's an actual, it's not an authentic script. It's a copy of a script. But what's
Yeah,
authentic are the autographs. And I always tell people, you can tell when you go and look at the back of the pages that the ink is all different. And
yeah.
So and it comes to the certificate of authenticity. But yeah, this is a biggie, I'm
That's a
thinking.
good one. That's
Yeah.
a good
Right?
I would
one.
hope
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
Right?
Dr. Juliet Burke.
My
Absolutely.
favorite. And she will play prominently in this little game we're going to play later, by the way, of course.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Giacchino, we always go back to him. For years, people would ask me, "Do you have anything alias?" And I said, "I don't have anything alias." Now I have Michael Giacchino. His script, his number was 78. Of all the
Wow.
cast and crew, every person was given a number, so his number was 78, and he signed it. And this is from looks like episode season 2. But yeah, it's a whole script. It's a production copy of the script from Michael Emerson.
Wow.
That's a different Michael from Giacchino.
Yeah.
So speaking
Wow.
of Emerson, we all know him as Michael. He doesn't go by Mike, but whoever made this script, which is his person of interest pilot script, wrote Mike Emerson as his watermark. So this is super rare because he does not go by Mike Emerson.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's
but
amazing.
this is his pilot script for the first episode of POI, which is super cool. It's a production
Mhm.
yellow copy, so I'm very
Yeah,
excited about that. And
that's
then
a
a few
great
more
one.
little things to show you. Everyone
Thank
loves
you
the
so
bear.
much.
This is fun. Everyone loves the bear, obviously. And at Comic-Con last year, they had a really cool offsite. So I got a lunchbox. You could literally take your lunch
Hmm.
in a bear lunchbox, and there's 2 sets of toothpicks in there in case you need, that after you have your lunch. And I'm a huge fan of Marvel shows. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm a
Oh,
huge
yeah.
fan of Agatha all along. And it
Yes.
really deserves another show. So I not only have an Agatha Pop signed by Catherine Hahn, which is actually from WandaVision. I have a very, very, very rare Death Pop signed by Aubrey Plaza. I have
Dude.
Rio
Whoa.
signed by Aubrey Plaza. So this also I'm hoping will be, one of the big ticket items. And I'm like, I would like to bid on this myself. Big fan.
Yeah.
And I just So that's kind of a sampling. Sorry, I'm off to the side here. That's
No,
a
that's okay.
sampling of what I have. There's about 130 items total. So, and you can go to the website and see the list of all of them. And they're also listed out on Instagram. So, if what I'm looking for now is people involved in the running fan Instagram accounts or websites for all these particular properties, because being the marketing and PR myself and not being on, I had to quit Twitter because the negativity, same for Facebook. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty much running Instagram daily for Cancer Gets Lost. And then I try Blue Sky, but I don't get a lot of traction there. So I'm
Sure.
looking to reach out to people in charge of certain fan communities. And also don't mention Reddit because Reddit's the only place in the world where people actually yelled at me. So I don't use Reddit for Cancer Gets Lost.
Oh,
That's terrible.
that's
I
wild.
I've used Discord for like the Getting Lost
Mhm.
community, but I haven't reached out to other Discords. But I don't have all the time in the world to reach out to everybody. So what I just sort of do is ask people if you're heavily involved with an online fan community, and one of the properties you're interested in is represented in this charity auction,
Yes.
maybe you could just repost a link. That's all that's the kind of thing I'm looking for.
Perfect.
Yeah, you got it.
So if you don't have any free cash to bid, help us get the
Yes.
message out there. I love that.
Absolutely. That's people always ask me, like, I don't have any money. I'm like, especially now, totally respect it, get it. The world is upside down. There's a lot going on. A lot of people have lost their jobs. This particular auction, because of the shipping cost increases too, we are only open to those with US shipping addresses, which is very unfortunate because our reach gets more limited. But I already had someone from the UK reach out and say, I have a friend in the US. Can I register with that address? Yes. If you have a friend in the US, a family member, an office in the US that you can have me ship to and they can hold on to it until you can get it, that would be amazing. But this particular auction is open only for those US shipping addresses. Every listing will list out the cost of the package if it's not come out with another package. But yeah, we usually have a global auction, but there's a lot going on in the world right now. And there's so many countries I was restricted to shipping wise that I decided to make it more,
Yeah.
focused domestically. But I still think we're going to raise a lot of money. And I know that people want to contribute who may not be into pop culture. Like my mother, she's always like, I don't want to do your auctions. What about people like me? And for people like her and everyone else out there who, may not be into pop culture, you can literally go to cancergetslost.org, click on donate. That money you donate from here until the end of the year, I will donate all of it to the Lymphoma Research Foundation. Or you can
Mhm.
also directly make a donation to them. I would never know it. You could send me a receipt. If you send me a receipt for a Lymphoma Research Foundation donation, I will send you something like a CGL wristband. We'll make it
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Dr. John, I've got your back if you need to get anything from this auction.
Excellent.
I will be your
Fantastic.
address.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, Montreal's not so far from Boston, you know?
Exactly.
Yes.
So, listen, we had a chance to catch some of these items already, but let's take a minute to start our mini games and have a little bit of fun with our shared love for Lost. Chris, do you want to take us into the first mini game?
Yeah, this first mini game gets right to, I don't know, my favorite part of watching any series and my favorite part of any conversation on Media Lit. Let's get to the heart of things. We're going to
Yeah.
go through the panel and talk about our top emotional moment from the entire series. I found this extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as our guest of honor, Joe, we will go to you first.
You know, it's funny. Until 2 years ago, the Juliet death scene always got me because she was my favorite
Mm,
character, and I just found it torturous to watch. But then when I lost my dad and I rewatched
Mm-hmm.
Lost, my lens completely changed
mm,
to the finale with Jack and
Yeah.
Christian and the
yeah,
coffin and the reveal and the whole
yeah.
speech. And I just get goosebumps thinking about it still. I always have been obsessed with their like particular relationships. I actually didn't have daddy issues, which is very healthy of me. But White Rabbit, people love their first season. They obviously love Walkabout, and with good reason. White Rabbit's the one that hooked me. And so I've always been into that relationship and that complication. But then Juliet, but then my dad. And so like
Yeah.
it's all shifted. And now I bawl when I get to that scene. But I
Yeah.
also love it because it just means so much.
Perfect
Excellent
answer.
pick. Yep, absolutely. Dr. John will go to you next.
So I thought a lot about this because there are so many emotional moments in this show, but I think it all comes back to Charlie's death. I think that
Mm,
the Not Penny's boat, the speaking of Giacono, just like the music in that scene, which combines the life and death theme with like Charlie's leitmotif, like it's just beautiful and stunning. And when I was, I don't know, in my early 20s and I was just looking for emotional catharsis, I needed to find an opportunity to cry. I would often go and find like YouTube compilations of the saddest moments of Lost, and it was always that moment with Charlie in the underwater in the Not Penny's boat that got me. So I have to go back to that.
yep. Excellent, excellent pick. It was on my list.
Yeah.
Totally understood. Randy, what's your top emotional moment from the entire series?
Yeah, I mean, I had the same number one answer as Joe. Lost was the last show that I shared with my own father before he passed away, so that means a lot to me. But as we just said, there's no shortage of moments. So I actually have another favorite finale moment. Um, it's just before we are going down into the cave to deal with this cork situation. The man in black is taunting Jack, um, and Jack turns to him and basically says it's insulting that he has put on
Hmm.
John's face. Jack says it turns out he was right about pretty much everything. Now, Jack Shepherd is certainly a man with a lot of room for growth, and this is a moment where we see him showcasing some of that. It's not something we get to see super often on the show.
Yeah.
Um, Even when John Locke was at his best, playing his A game, offering Jack great advice, Jack never did anything but push back against this guy. Sometimes with good reason, but even when he was getting the best advice, he couldn't do it. So to see him willing to look back and change his take a little bit meant something to me. And it also made me feel emotional for John Locke himself, who had such a sad and horrible ending to his
Hmm.
life after working so hard to contribute something. So to know that those words did get through, it really gets to me in that moment when he says that.
Hmm. Beautiful pick and well analyzed as always. I think I've heard you speak about that moment before.
Hmm.
Yeah, wonderful pick. For me, and I'm glad it's still on the table because I mentioned at the top, I thought this was a difficult exercise because there are so many wonderful moments. And maybe if I was in the midst of a rewatch and I was more recently exposed, I might have a different answer. But off the cuff with some distance, it was like most immediately the first one that jumped to my mind was The Constant and
Yeah.
Penny and Desmond finally connecting over the airwaves. It's not even later when they physically reconnect. Like that's beautiful when they're finally reunited, but in The Constant, there's still distance, but there's hope now. There's real, absolute hope. And both performers are brilliant. The production choices there, cutting back and forth. It's full of energy. It's full of passion, and yeah, I get chills just thinking about it. I share what Lost with my wife first and foremost. So there isn't a ton of love story in this show, but I feel like Desmond and Penny are
Yeah.
they are romance incarnate.
Yeah. Perfect answer, Chris. And if you're listening and we missed your favorite moment because we barely scratched the surface, hit us up at media.slash.lit@gmail.com. We'd love to read some of those out on our next Lost and Lit episode, so feel free to reach out. All right, Chris, we're going to move on to our next mini game. This time, sticking with the staples of Media Lit, I want to know everyone's favorite humorous moment on Lost because Lost is not afraid to make us laugh. And Chris, you did such a great job running the last round that I'm going to let you go first this time.
Wow. I'm absolutely thrilled. Thank you. I had a number of options because I felt nothing was safe. But
Sure.
it had to be a Hurley moment
Yeah.
for me. I'm sure we all have a Hurley moment, maybe not. But there's a moment in season 5 where the gang is responsible for trying to convince Pierre Chang that they are not, in fact, from the future. And unfortunately, it's Hurley who's on the hot seat. Pierre Chang just zeroes right in on him and asks him what year he's born, and he fumbles immediately. He's like, "Oh, so you're 49?" Yeah. So you fought in the Korean War, he asks him. He says, that no such thing. He fumbles the bag so hard in that moment. It is a pure distillation of Hurley. He caves immediately under this questioning. I think Pierre gets 3 questions in. Who's the president? And Hurley caves.
Yeah.
Yeah, in doing some research for this and watching a few like compilations of clips and things, I came across that one, and it's really wonderful. Hurley's my bud.
I love that. Yeah, it's banger after banger from Hurley. Joe Garfein, what is your favorite, or at least one of your favorite humorous moments from Lost?
I have two. So one's a smuggle, as Joanna Robinson would say. The first one is when Juliet tells Jack it's very stressful being an other, Jack. That line always made me laugh because it's so ridiculous, but also really true. It does look very stressful being an other.
Oh yeah.
you know. And another one is Saeed like said, "How do you think I'm doing? I just served an 11-year-old Benjamin Linus a sandwich." Like during the flashbacks in
Mhm.
season 5.
Yeah,
Like his delivery of that was amazing.
brilliant. So
Yes.
good.
Absolutely perfect choices. Dr. John, what's yours?
So I did just at the top of this write moments from Hurley, Sawyer, or Miles quips, and then ultimately went with none of them because
Yeah.
there are just too many moments to choose.
Yeah.
One of my top moments was actually going to be the stressful being another moment, so I'm glad that I
Yeah.
put that second. My number one moment is a moment between Locke and Ben in The Man from Tallahassee, where Locke says, "The Man from Tallahassee, what's that? Some kind of code?" And Ben says, "No, John, unfortunately, we don't have a code for there's a man in my closet with a gun to my daughter's head, although we obviously should."
Yeah.
Perfect dry delivery. Every dry almost joke from Ben is just fantastic.
Yeah.
So well said. I think he even like pauses for a minute, and like though we probably should, is like almost like an authentic afterthought. It's
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's perfect. Really great
Pe-
pick.
People always say, "Oh, Lost is so dark." I'm like, there's actually quite a bit of humor in it. Just,
Yeah.
razzle dazzle. Okay.
Oh
Just
yeah.
every episode actually
Yeah.
has some humor. Because if you heard Damon Lindelof talk, he's actually pretty funny and
Yeah.
he's got a wacky sense of humor. And it sort of, I think that bleeds through in a lot of the scripts and the storylines.
Totally.
Yeah. Joe Garfine, you actually set me up really well. My two quick smuggles are I was so tempted to do a Hurley moment, like he's got to write The Empire Strikes Back, like just in case it's not going to get written. My favorite stinger of the series, when they go to rescue Jack and he's out playing football with the others. It's like maybe the only silly reveal in the entire series, and I love that moment. But I'm going to go with a moment that I don't know if anyone cares about as much as me. I once wrote an incredibly passionate email about this to the Storm podcast, which did not make it on air, and I've been thinking about it ever since. So this is going to be a David Reyes moment. He goes through this like very ritualistic process of getting himself cozy and comfy to eat a sandwich. He pops on the latest episode of Expose and gets into his most comfortable chair before the craziness of the show catches up to him. And his little like ritual of sitting down with his perfect
Mhm.
sandwich. I just get such a kick out of that moment. I think about it often. Because how good does that feel when you get a moment of peace with your favorite snack? I mean, come
I,
on.
I relate to it so hard. The potato chips, the sandwich, the chair, all of it. It's heaven on earth for the man in that moment.
Oh yeah.
Great stuff. Um, yeah, what a fun show. Okay, so we don't just love Lost, we love almost all of the people involved in Lost. I do say almost, but one person who we love really well is Michael Emerson. And so we had to have a mini game dedicated just to Benjamin Linus. I want to hear everybody's favorite Benjamin Linus moment. Randy, I'll return the kindness if I may. We'll let you go first in this one.
All right. I've got a lot of options here, but since I get to go first, I'm gonna go with my most honest answer. And I think for a lot of people, this is the moment where Benjamin Linus became Benjamin Linus. But we are still dealing with this mysterious case of identity. Is Henry Gale an other? Is he not an other? They send off a search party to go looking for his parachute, and he suddenly shifts from this innocent victim into this very intricate speech about, well, you know what I would do if I were one of them,
Hmm.
is I'd write you a map to a really secluded place, and so on and so forth. And then he just casually looks up from his cereal and says, "Got any milk?" And that's the first thing I think of when I think of Michael Emerson on this show. And also, just based on talking to Joe Garfein and checking out the Getting Lost documentary, Michael Emerson is one of the most common contributors to this nonprofit. So shout out Michael Emerson. You're a great dude.
Indeed.
A great dude indeed. Yeah, that's the moment. Glass ballerina. I- Henry Gale, who he is at that point,
Yeah.
what an off-putting gentleman. I don't know, like
Yeah.
he's not. I know he has a plan, but he's not fooling anybody really, because either he is an other or there's something else really
Yeah.
wrong with this guy. So, John Aspler, let's go to you next. What have you got for this one?
All right, so I think it's kind of in some ways the culmination of a lot of Ben's arc. It's in season 6. As you may remember, when we were pitching totally unnecessary Lost Legacy sequels, the image that I chose was of my favorite Ben cry. So it's from that moment. It is when
Yeah.
it is the "I'll have you" scene with Ilana. I'm not going to read
Hmm.
any of the dialogue out because I absolutely cannot do it justice. But Ben is basically talking about all the ways that he's done wrong, all the people he's wronged, the fact that he did everything for power, and what was the point when he lost his daughter. And as he's about to basically leave everyone and go to Locke because he's the only one who will have him, Alana says, "I'll have you." And that moment is almost it's basically his redemption, or at least one of several redemptions across the final season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it at least makes him believe that redemption might be possible.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that
No.
segues into my favorite Michael Emerson slash Ben Linus moment. Also, surprisingly, in season 6, because I was thinking back to all the funny, sarcastic, effed up things that he did. For me, it's at the very end when he accepts the number 2 position from the new
Yeah.
man in charge, from Hurley. There's just
Totally.
his facial expression is so genuinely surprised and touched. And he was like all of a sudden going, this whole time, when Jacob said to him, "What about you?" Like everything was for naught, right? His whole being number 2, he never was really for Jacob. Now he can actually help protect the island that he loves and under the service of Hurley, who is a kind human. And just the look on his face is all you need to know about Michael Emerson as an actor and Benjamin Linus as a character.
Yeah.
Oh, great pick. Great pick. I almost wish you had gone last because that's the one to end on. I mean, that's because what a moment for
Yeah.
Benjamin Linus. We've spent so much time with him at that point. I never thought I could want good for Ben. So what a kudos to the writing, kudos to the performance that in that moment. You truly do.
Yeah.
For me, I distilled a slightly different Ben moment. This is a very unredeemed Ben moment, but I
Yeah.
think still he's always conflicted. I think that's present here. So I'm in season 5. Dead is dead.
Hmm.
It's really I'm paraphrasing, I'm pulling a bit out of the overall, the larger quote, but when John Locke, the man in black, wants to have a conversation about the elephant in the room, and and Ben in his explanation says, "Well, I just didn't have time to talk you back into hanging yourself." The
Yep.
delivery from Michael Emerson is unbelievable in that moment.
Yeah.
He's telling the truth. That he is absolutely 100% telling the truth. He's also, though, aware that what he's saying is fucked up.
Yeah.
And like that's in the delivery also. And there's also a layer of that feels in himself that it's fucked up, even though it is absolutely his truth.
Yeah.
And it's all there in the performance. So I
Yeah.
think that's very true of the character. Um,
Yeah. And you get to that finale where he needs more time. He's still working through
Exactly.
it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a reason that, Michael Emerson is one of the only actors who actually won an Emmy
Yeah.
for that show. And
Yeah.
considering it, and now everyone knows the lore that he was just a guest star, but he popped on camera so quickly for, Damon and Carlton and the writers that they immediately offered him this role. Can you imagine? I can't imagine the
Yeah.
trajectory of the show or the show being as successful without Michael Emerson.
Yeah. Absolutely right. And honorable mention to every single bloodied face along
Yeah.
the way. No one could take
Indeed.
a punch like that guy.
Indeed.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section. Again, we're not leaving Lost behind, but we're going to start getting some of this other IP into the conversation. Joe is kind enough to show us a bunch of auction items, including some different MCU related items. Joe, if my research is accurate, I believe in the auction we can find items from Agatha All Along, Agent Carter, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Deadpool and Wolverine, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's okay if you don't have any additional props handy, but is there anything in there that jumps out to you that you want to mention to folks?
It's interesting. So for Wakanda Forever for Black Panther, I have a lovely like a photo poster signed by Angela Bassett herself, which
Mm.
is really, really cool. And then I just watched Ironheart. Riri Williams was in
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda Forever, and she's the young lady in the lab and so smart.
Yeah.
So I have a Riri Williams Ironheart pop signed by Dominique Thorne from Wakanda
Nice.
Forever. So I'm very, very delighted to have those items in.
Wonderful.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
Well, to keep in the spirit of the MCU, for our next mini game, I'm going to ask everyone which fictional character from Lost should join either the Avengers or the new Avengers. And this time, I'm going to let Dr. John kick us off with his pick.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you. So there are a few Losties that genuinely have powers, but I was thinking about how there are a number of Avengers who are either just like they've got technology like Iron Man, or you're Hawkeye, you're a very, very skilled normal guy. And
He's
so
very good.
yeah, you know what I'm about to say. My my pick is absolutely Saeed.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
no member of the
So good.
cast or no character on the show who has demonstrated their extreme competence more than Saeed. And I think both his technical skills and his physical fighting prowess would take him very far farther than your Hawkeyes, your normal guys, but maybe not as far as your superhuman guys.
I like
Dude,
it.
I love
Phenomenal.
that pick, John. Do you know who I want to see him actually team up with in the MCU? Not many people will agree with me, but Ming-Na Wen, Melinda May, Agent May, I think they'd make a pretty badass
I like it.
duo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
All right. Joe, you just made me feel good about my Ming-Na Wen shout out. So why don't you go next?
And I do have in the auction photos signed by Clark Gregg and by why am I blanking? Daisy Sky. Why am I blanking on her name right now?
Um,
The woman who played, you know who I'm talking about.
Daisy
Sorry.
Ridley?
yes.
No, on Agents of Shield, she played Daisy and
Chloe
Sky.
Chloe
Oh,
Benet.
Chloe Bennett.
Chloe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Benet.
Sorry. I've got all the
Star
auction details
Wars.
in my brain, so I had a brain fart there. So I do have a set of photos from speaking of MCU from them in there. I think that Sun needs to be in the MCU because she was so
Mm,
underutilized. We saw how badass she was when she confronted her father, when she confronted Widmore. I just feel like she's the brains, and I don't know what her superpower is, but she's was so underutilized on Lost that I want to see Yoon Jin Kim in the MCU doing something where she's not a villain.
I
Brilliant.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
uh
Just
Chris
saying.
Chris Ingersoll, who are you bringing into the MCU?
I'm really excited for this one. Randy, you know that I was a huge fan of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long they'll get to carry this moniker of the new Avengers, but while they are a team, I would love to introduce Miles Strom to this little
Yeah.
group of misfits. Not only does he bring just the right kind of sarcastic, quippy, cynical outlook on the world, but he's got some really interesting powers that I think would mesh well with this off-kilter team. So yeah, give me Miles with the Thunderbolt slash New Avengers.
Yeah.
I like that because most people would say Miles belongs with X-Men, but I agree with you about
Oh
this.
yeah. Absolutely. My
Yeah.
note
Thank you.
here that I have, Chris, is like Miles Strom landed the MCU vibe before it even existed.
Yeah, I
That
love that.
perfect blend of the heart and the humor and the edge. Yeah, he belongs right there. He was on my list as well. But I'm gonna go with
Totally.
Daniel Faraday because I will watch him talk
Oh,
about constants with Pedro Pascal all day.
I
If he wants
should
to
have
hang
known.
out with any other scientists, I am down with it. And I hope he finds his constant in the MCU.
Well played, well done. Love that
Hmm.
pick. Fresh off the Fantastic Four. I would absolutely love to see Daniel Faraday hang out with this Reed Richards. Come on. Okay, so we've done the MCU, but we can't forget about HBO and all the fantastic prestige TV they've got there. Joe, you've got some properties featured in the auction coming up in August here. Again,
Yes.
if we are correct, we're talking about something from Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. You've got the Penguin represented, The Last of Us, White Lotus, Westworld. Am I missing anything?
No, for this auction, that's about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for Game of Thrones, I have a photo signed by Lena Headey by Cersei. So I
Yes.
have a really cool Game of Thrones water bottle. I have for House of the Dragon, I have pops signed by Matt Smith. I have Alicent and Rhaenyra pops also signed by those actresses. Um,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now for the Penguin, all I have is a tiny little pin that's in a package from Comic-Con, but it's one of those, the drop, the pin, the drug that they used on the show, the
Yeah,
drop.
yeah,
Drops.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like a blood drop pin. It's super cute. And
Cool.
then for The Last of Us, I have that signed photo from Pedro. And then White Lotus, I have a photo signed by the Jennifer Coolidge.
Let's
And I also,
go.
it's accompanied
Nice.
by a Funko Pop of her on the scooter in Italy, which is
Tremendous.
incredible.
I
And
Tremendous.
I
can't
also,
believe there are White Lotus Funko Pops. That's amazing. Okay,
it's
sorry.
incredible. No, please, I agree. I was like, we need that. And then I have a White Lotus travel pack. It has a luggage tag, a passport holder, and a journal. So that's well
Ooh.
represented.
Very
So
cool.
yes, I don't necessarily go, I need HBO stuff, but I go, what's hot? And that's what I look for. I go to conventions and I listen and I look and see where the lines are and I see what people are excited about.
Mm.
Then I go on eBay and see what the after sales
Yeah.
are from these conventions. And like these shows all pop.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, all phenomenal shows with great fandoms all their own. And I think we're going to try to blend the Lost fandom and the HBO now. For this exercise, we're going to ask our panelists to drop a Lost actor now, not one of the characters, but an actor from the larger cast of Lost into one of these HBO shows. The trick is this is where the order we go in matters a little bit more because each property can only be called out once in this round. So if somebody picks an actor for the Penguin before you get to chat, you don't get to put your character in the Penguin. So again, the properties at hand are Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, the Penguin, The Last of Us, White Lotus, and Westworld. There are enough to go around. Joe, we will start with you on this one.
It's funny because when you said these questions, I had characters in my head, not
Same,
actors.
same.
Oh, so you're throwing me a twist here because I thought for White Lotus, and I will take White Lotus,
Nice.
that Ben and his daughter Alex would go as estranged father and daughter to a tropical location. And
Beautiful.
unbeknownst to them, Rousseau shows up with someone else, with her girlfriends or something, and that just throws a complication into it.
Perfect. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely
That's
brilliant.
character wise. But actress wise, and I'm going to say actress, I want Elizabeth Mitchell on White Lotus. I want Elizabeth
Yeah.
Mitchell on everything, but I think she's had the kind of career where she's already done so much and she's so well respected that I don't know that she wants to go to the next level in Stratosphere and be cast in more things. But I just, when I watch every season, I think I always think of Liz Mitchell and I think, God, because she played Juliet so close to the vest, you don't know where she stood, whose side she was on. That kind of ability to mask what's going on, it would do really well on White Lotus. So I take that off the board, you guys.
A
Hmm.
phenomenal pivot in the moment. So glad we got to hear the smuggle of Ben and Alex. Excellent pick also. John, we'll go to you next.
So I also misunderstood the question and was going to go for White Lotus and pitch Boone, who I think is the perfect White Lotus archetype. But I will pivot in a different direction, and I will go with an actor rather than pitching a character, and that is in
Hmm.
Game of Thrones. I feel like Alan Dale, aka Charles Widmore, has the perfect sort of old guy on Game of Thrones energy. He's got a little bit of like that
Yes.
Charles Dance's Tywin Lannister going
Mhm.
on. I don't know if he can pull out his Australian accent to be some fun guy from far away. That could be kind of cool. But yeah, I think I'd like to see him in that sort of Ark Widmore-esque type role, but on in the Game of Thrones universe.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's absolutely
Love it.
perfect. I wouldn't be surprised if he was thrown around the room when they were casting the show. Now this world's been taken off the board. This is where I had Mitchell slotting in, was into that Game of Thrones
Mm.
world.
Ooh.
Randy, what have you got, bud?
All right, I'm gonna leave you the show that I'm guessing you were the most excited about, Chris, because the one I am the most excited to talk about is The Last of Us. Now, I've not played the games. I know if people are familiar with the games, there's only so much track left for where this series can go moving forward. But hey, who knows? Maybe they'll expand it. They've added several original characters to heighten the storytelling in that show. And if I am talking about a post-apocalyptic wasteland with all sorts of different outposts and cults and strange leaders, Terry O'Quinn
Mm,
stepping into that world,
hmm
digging into that like rugged survivalism of John Locke, wielding a knife. We know from the Getting Lost documentary that if someone stands exactly the right distance away, he can hit them with one of those throwing knives still. Um, and he can do menacing, he can do wise, and in The Last of Us, he might get a chance to do a little bit of both and land in a gray area, much like we got on Lost. So I think that would be magical.
Excellent, excellent pick. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
Kevin Durand entering this
Mm.
Last of Us
Ooh.
world.
Good one.
Yeah, Ter
Absolutely.
Terry O'Quinn was going to go Westworld for me if I had to, because
Nice.
he played Howard Hughes in The Rocketeer. Something about that made him like a
Yeah.
good fit for Westworld. Um, for me, though, I'm so grateful, Randy, my dear podcasting brother. Thank you for leaving me The Penguin, an
Yeah.
HBO series that I absolutely adored. Spinning out of the Batman movie, which I also absolutely adored. And I'm not sure if anybody's going to understand this pick. And it's not just because I want to put him as my answer in every category, but I want Jorge Garcia to
I
join
get
the
it.
Penguin.
Interesting. Tell me more.
I think he has it in him. I would love to see him bring out this like nuanced, interesting darkness. We know he has that in him, right? But for him to be able to break bad a little bit with that would be a lot of fun for
Mm.
me. I'm not certain how often he gets to play a villain, and
Right.
to see him get to go down that road would be really interesting. I don't want to see him taken advantage of. I don't want to see him as just like another character who other characters will pick on or use. I don't want to see him as somebody naive. I want to see him as powerful and in control. I think Jorge has that, and he should have the chance to do it.
Interesting. I like it. I thought we'd all go for the obvious one, which is Josh Holloway in Westworld.
I mean, right? Yes, Josh
Like, I
Holloway
think,
in
Oh,
anything.
I didn't even
right?
think about it.
Yeah,
That is
I
that
was
is
like,
obvious.
I'm
You're
not
right.
going to pick that because they're all going to pick that.
yeah, great call.
I had Josh Holloway going Penguin,
Ooh, okay.
sort of an on the edge officer of the law. But hey, we've got another mini game coming up. Now, back when we recorded our Getting Lost hype pod, I was in the midst of becoming a Taylor Swift fan because our good buddy Alex Marcus requested that we do a full draft of every single Taylor Swift song ever. He created an incredibly elaborate spreadsheet. The 2-hour podcast we set out to record went nearly 4 hours.
Oh my God.
No joke. We had, I'm suddenly blanking on if we landed on 7 or 8 panelists, but it was like this incredible sweeping conversation. So when I was prepping for this next mini game, I had like pages upon pages of notes I could refer back to. I was so good to go. I know how Chris feels about Taylor Swift. And I was chatting with Joe a lot back at the end of the Eras tour when she was off checking out Taylor, having a great time at the show. Before I get into the mini game, John Aspler, did you have to do any homework for this question, or do you have any Tay-Tay connection going into this prompt?
So it's funny. It's yes, I did have to do homework. I found someone who'd ranked 274 Taylor Swift songs just so I could look at the top 25 and be reminded of what they are. I
Hmm.
basically listened to Taylor Swift when I was an undergrad, when I was like 23 when she was 23, or 22 when she was
Mm,
22. And then Shake It Off. And then I just sort of, and then it's been sort of like during the pandemic, there was a lot of car rides listening to her newer albums. So I've been listening to them, but it's more my wife who's into it, and it's more the people around me who I have a friend who's a songwriter. She absolutely adores Taylor Swift. So it's through them that I've osmosed the joy and the fun. But whenever I go to karaoke, like Shake It Off is a number one pick. You know, you go there as fast as you can. So we'll see what happens.
Yes.
yeah,
So
beautiful.
good.
I knew even if you weren't a Swiftie, I knew you would have a really positive attitude and insight into the question, and you did not fail me. But before we get into the mini game, we've got some Taylor Swift merch. I know we saw one possible big ticket item already. I'm under the impression we've also got some Ariana Grande merch. Is that
Yeah, we
accurate?
actually just have one CD signed by Ariana Grande, which is, it's
Beautiful.
great. Someone donated that. And Taylor Swift, we have a Midnight's cardigan, a Tortured Poets Department cardigan, Tortured Poets Department snow globe with a typewriter in the middle.
Mm,
It's very cool. We have some Taylor Swift art, and we have an Eras Tour package. So someone donated their VIP box from, I think it was
nice.
the Portugal or Spain stop. So it's really cool. It's got posters in there. It's got a VIP lanyard and some other cool collectibles. And just stuff like they have a Torture Poets Department hat, just a wide variety of Tay Tay represented because last year, obviously, in the last few years, her stuff has been out there. So people were like, here, I have an extra. Great. Thank you so much.
Hmm. Yeah, someone could grab that Ariana Grande CD and then grab that Elphaba pop, just like keep it on theme,
Just
right?
saying. Didn't even occur to me till just now. Good job. Yes.
Hey, I just want to curate a donation for everyone. All right, so
Excellent.
that being said, let's think pop and let's get into this mini game. Now, in season one of Lost, a device we get for just a little while is our guy Hurley has a Walkman. We get some moments of him listening to music through this Walkman before it finally dies. It bites the dust. We no longer get to play with that device anymore moving forward. Now, when this show launched, we didn't really have Taylor Swift. That was not really part of our conversation. So we're just going to kind of play pretend, imagine what could have been. And this mini game is which Taylor Swift song do you wish Hurley could have listened to on his Walkman? And Dr. John, I'm going to go to you again first because you were such a good sport and did some research. I'm going to let you get your top pick in here and see what
I
you landed
appreciate
on.
that. Well, I'm gonna leave Shake It Off on the table. That was one I thought would be fun for everyone to have a dance party on the beach or something. But I'm actually imagining, and I'm gonna cheat here a little bit. I'm imagining a different scenario where at the end of season two, Hurley is kidnapped by the others. His Walkman is still working, and Ben says, "I want that Walkman." And then later on in season three or four, we have a moment where Ben is walking down a hallway. Imagine the Christian Bale and American Psycho meme, and he's listening to Antihero, and it's something really dark that's happening, and we just
Nice.
have this very on the nose reference. That is what I want to see.
Amazing. So good.
I knew the research wouldn't fail you. All right. Uh, Joe Garfein, I think you are the truest Swiftie amongst us. Um, and I think maybe the only one of us who attended the Eras tour. Um, I
Probably,
almost
yes.
I almost took the place of my sister. I almost got to go over in Foxborough at that rainy night with my wife. Alas, I didn't make it. But she had a phenomenal time. So, Joe, what's your song that you wish Hurley could have listened to on the island?
It's funny, I was gonna go with Anti-Hero because of the line, I had a dream my sister-in-law sued me for the money, and I was like, oh, he won the lottery. Like maybe this was too meta.
Mm.
Hmm.
But then I decided that just given what's going on with the others and the future kidnapping, I did Bad Blood because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
because Mr. Friendly shows up, Ethan Rom shows up, like there's bad blood between, the others and the survivors. So a little on the nose, but I chose Bad Blood.
Love
And
it.
I mean, you can't go wrong because
Yeah,
each one is a bop. Uh,
exactly.
Chris, we just went so deep on this. Where did you land? You had so many to pick from, so many that we went so deep. into discussion of during that pod.
Yeah. I've so much Taylor Swift in my brain from that pod, but this was easy to zero in for my guy Hurley. I knew I wanted it to be folklore, of course.
Mm.
I could picture him just enjoying the wistful nature of that album, the imaginative nature of that
Hmm.
album, getting lost in the story of it all. The stuff that's already on his Walkman has sort of a folksy vibe to it, and so for me, it's a pairing. It's Betty and August,
Ooh.
and it's because I can picture him absolutely vibing to Betty. It has alone on the beach vibes as I'm taking a nice walk, pining for Libby. But I can also just picture Hurley being so satisfied when he hears August and he connects the two and he realizes that the girl in August is the other girl from Betty, and it's all like this connected story. I can just picture Hurley's enthusiasm trying to explain this to Sawyer and get him to buy in on these two songs. So those two as a pair.
I think you might be a bigger Swiftie than me. Just FYI. FYI.
I do have the badge of honor in my home. I was the first to decipher that story beat in
Mm.
folklore as we were all listening during the pandemic, and it was on
Nice.
repeat. Yes, a little badge of honor.
Yeah, Chris, I recently made a really lame joke online that we were beginning to finish each other's sandwiches, a la Frozen. I
Yes.
did pick a different song, but I was also feeling the folklore vibes, that pining after lost love, of course, Libby. Uh, However, I think the person who would have really been on his mind in season one was none other than Mighty Ducks' Connie Moreau, the one that got away to his best friend. He spent all this time flirting, getting to know her, being on the cusp of having a chance, watching it slip away, feeling that sadness and that frustration. Um, who didn't love Connie Moreau,
I
right?
was this close.
But here's the thing. I think the one is the
Mm.
song that he's going to listen to. Just
Yeah.
thinking about what could have been these pleasant, happy moments that they had, and the fact that they slipped away. And we see how deeply he feels that all the more with all the Libby stuff we get later on. So love those
Nice.
picks. I think we just made a nice little Taylor Swift soundtrack, and I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I think we're
Yes.
serving Hurley well here. So absolutely
Hmm.
pleasure, everybody. Thank you. Well, next we're gonna move into a new corner of the entertainment world. It's time to talk a little bit of comedy. Joe, you've got a good mixed bag here of things to feature for the auction. Some animation, some live action. So we're talking about Bob's Burgers, Futurama, SNL, ever heard of it, and What We Do in the Shadows. What a silly show.
I know,
So
so fun.
That.
For for what we do in the shadows, I have a t-shirt. And then for Bob's Burgers and Futurama, I have pin sets, exclusive pin sets from past Comic Cons.
cool.
For Saturday Night Live, Bobby Moynihan is a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and if you've watched the Lost documentary, you'll know that he is the world's biggest Lost fan.
Yeah.
The man bought the fish biscuit machine from Lost from Cancer Gets
Hmm.
Lost. It
Yeah.
was in his living room, and his wife was like, absolutely not. So it's not his living room anymore. But his collection is bigger than mine. It's bigger than almost anyone's I've ever seen.
Hmm.
And he's such a nerd about it. It's just like the best. He also wrote a children's book. So I have a signed children's book because
Oh,
he's a
nice.
dad now. And also he signed and donated one of his pops from one of his characters from Saturday Night Live, Drunk Uncle. So I have a signed pop from Bobby in the auction as well.
There's a
That
drunk Uncle Pop.
is a Drunk Uncle pop.
That's
There
amazing.
are, I don't want to say there are too many pops because this is wonderful that you have these signed for this event, but what?
There
Right,
are
right.
the most obscure pops, but you know what? Maybe it makes some collector's items. I don't know, especially if they're
100%.
signed.
That's
Yeah.
tremendous. Really, really
Yeah.
100%.
cool. Oh, okay. So, well, we had to zero in on comedy somehow here. So we chose SNL. We think it's going to be a fun exercise to have our panelists pick an actor. Again, we're talking about actors here from Lost who deserve to host SNL. Joe, going to you first.
I think Jorge Garcia should have
Yeah.
hosted
Mm.
Saturday Night Live because even though in real life he's a little bit shyer than Hurley is, I he's so deeply funny.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's also so nice. I just feel like he would they would really embrace him on the show as a host for that week. So I'm going with Jorge.
I bet they would make the form the best relationships, Jorge and everybody on
Exactly.
that show. Yeah, that's a great, great pick. Randy, we'll do you next, buddy. What have you got for SNL?
Yeah, there are a ton of great options. I'm tempted to spread the wealth, but instead I'm just gonna go with like the answer that I feel in my heart the most, which is Michael Emerson.
Yeah.
That range he has of just like humor to menace. I mean, just as we were discussing our favorite moments, so many of them are so funny. He can do things that are directly funny, like whether it is stuffing metal into a machine that specifically is not supposed to have metal put into it. I just ham that up down to that little got milk statement. The range that they could do. They could parody
Mhm.
almost anything. They could do high culture, elevated stuff and then subvert it just a little bit. Or they could just throw him into the goofiest sketch you've ever seen. We saw him play a teacher on Lost. The possibilities are endless. Just such a talented
Mhm.
man. So yeah, Michael Emerson.
You don't have to sell me. He was my number
Yeah.
one pick. So
Yeah.
excellently explained. A wonderful pick. I'm now going to spend all of John's time talking, deciding who I actually will end up picking. So, John, going to you next.
Perfect. Yeah. So Michael Emerson and Jorge Garcia, also my top two picks. So I'm going to
Yeah.
go. I don't want to say with third string. I'm actually pretty happy with this. So what folks may not know is that Nestor Carbonell had a really
Yeah.
long career as a sitcom and
Hmm.
actor and comedian. And my first experience of Nestor Carbonell was grade six. I'm 11 years old. It's 1999 or 2000 or something like that. And I am watching syndicated reruns of Suddenly Susan for like 2 weeks straight at 11 a.m. every
Wow.
day.
Nice.
And years later, I had no idea that Nestor Carbonell was even on the show. I looked him up and I was like, oh my God, that's that guy who was very funny on random
Hmm.
stay-at-home days sitcom Suddenly Susan. So yeah, I'm going to go with Nestor Carbonell. Very funny guy. Even in Shogun, a very deeply serious show, funniest part
Hmm.
of the show.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent pick.
Yeah, really nice pick. I almost picked him just because I felt like he's like a recognizable face, but I had no good justification. I was just gonna say like he's been in a bunch of stuff and deserves to have a moment.
Hmm.
Great, great pick. Okay. Well, I think that I know where I want to go. I'm looking at his smiling face right now on the cast list, and it's Terry O'Quinn. I think he would be
Yeah.
a lovely SNL host, mostly because I think he would appreciate it so dang much. You know, John, the cameo that you've shared with us in the past, I think revealed so much about his personality. He seems to have so enjoyed being a part of this. It seems like he's like really in touch with the gratitude attached to being a part of something so big that touched so many lives. And so to think that I can just picture him feeling so honored and excited that they
Yeah.
got him on the SNL stage and here he is hosting. I can picture his big old smile, and I think he would kill it in that environment,
Hmm.
yucking it up with the SNL cast.
Chris, while you were talking, I just started writing one of the sketches. He's gonna be like, I don't know what the gag is gonna be yet, but like the straight setup of the bit is like he's gonna like walk out with his guitar or be some sort of like children's folk singer. And then I don't know exactly how they're gonna subvert that, but yeah,
I
it's
just
great
want
stuff.
I want to get him in as many great wigs as we can. That's the thing.
I feel like I've just got to quickly say my honorable mention because I do think he would rule on the show is Daniel Day Kim.
Yes, that was
Oh
my
yeah.
number two.
Because like, he could do like the thirst trap handsome guy jokes, but he could also do serious and everything in between. What a lovely
I
dude.
almost picked Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost picked Sawyer for the thirst trap, just picturing him like not even getting through the monologue because the audience keeps erupting with woos and screams as he speaks to them.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Now,
All
if this was
right.
2005 or 2006 at the height of Lost's popularity and Josh Holloway hosted, they would just scream, "Take your shirt off" the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
How
we're not going to objectify him in 2025. I'm just saying.
Oh, I think it would might go that way today. I think
yeah.
the bit might have to be that he comes out and just like we'll get it out of the way, he takes his shirt
Right.
off, and then he can do his monologue.
It'd be very memeable.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like listen, there are certain things you don't forget. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is. Like you don't forget like Brad Pitt's body in Fight Club, and you don't
Right.
forget Sawyer chopping wood on the island.
Yep.
You know, just whether
Agreed.
you like it or not, like you just it's gonna be emblazoned in your memory.
There's some iconic images that are, less than PC now, but you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Of the ladies too. You're like, okay. She like sun with the towel, going off and
Sure.
her representing her freedom, and she's finally free, but she's standing in her bikini or Kate in her bra, and you're like, okay, you can tell the actress did not want to do that
Yep.
scene, but 2004 was a different time.
The cameras were
Oh
ogling. The
yes.
cameras were ogling.
They were.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, they were.
that's okay.
Well, for our next mini game, Joe, we're gonna get into the realm of fantasy, and you've already walked us through a ton of the stuff that you have in the auction here. You talked about some of your great House of the Dragon stuff. You've got that killer Wheel of Time script, some other things. I believe maybe you've got a thing or two from Rings of Power as well for the
Yes, I just have
Tolkien
one.
fans out there.
Yes, just one small package, but I have a limited edition pin from Comic-Con for Rings of Power, and also a canvas bag. So funny enough,
Hmm.
Amazon Fresh, because Amazon owns Prime Video, did a promo where Amazon Fresh customers got a few lucky, I don't know, a few hundred people got Rings of Power shopping bags. So I have a canvas shopping bag and a pin in it. It's just little things like that, but I also want to have items in the auction that people feel like they can afford. I'll start the bidding price at $4 or $8 because all the bidding prices start at 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, or $42 for obvious reasons. So I want to have smaller ticket items too so that fans can have a chance to support the cause and then get something really cool in return. So lots of fantasy represented.
Beautiful. Now, in this particular mini game, I'm asking everyone to work just a little bit harder than some of the other mini games. I was trying to find a way to bring all of these items together. So this time we're going back to fictional characters from Lost. And I want to know which character from Lost deserves their own custom weapon and armor set, as if they were getting props made for them on a fantasy series. And I would also like to know what is going to be featured on their sigil to represent who they are and why they are so deserving of these personal artifacts. And co-host Chris, I'm going to you first.
Wow, what a tremendous honor. I am thrilled. Thank you, because this is my opportunity to celebrate a very skilled man. I'm going with Saeed, who, after, I mean, what a journey. He is a man of great skill who has unfortunately put those skills to some dark uses. He has been used as a weapon time and time again, but he
Hmm.
has continued to try and rise above that, to find his humanity, to find um, love in this world, to set aside the arms. So, unfortunately, this is Saeed who has been forged in fire, who is called back to battle. These skills will be called upon again, but now for a righteous purpose. And so I'm seeing him in some sort of really beautiful, not quite as heavy as a knight's armor, but something that suggests that questing hero who's being called upon for great purpose. Um, he's going to have not one really awesome sword, but two beautiful.
Nice.
Randy, you recall a recent pod we chatted Lord of the Rings, and for my prop, I have Legolas's twin daggers, which I think are so beautiful. I'm picturing something like that for Saeed, these really beautiful custom sort of mid-length sword daggers that he'll have in a sheaths on his back. And his sigil is a lion, but a
Yeah.
emphasis on the flowing mane, top and bottom, right? Because he's got that beautiful flow, and he's this noble man, full of truth, full of courage. And so, yeah, it's got to be Saeed, and that's what he's looking like.
Chris, that was incredible. I went to you first because I knew you would do a great job, but now I'm like, I should have gone to him last because now he set the bar so very, very
Yeah, good
high.
job.
There's some really phenomenal stuff. John Aspler, I'm putting you in the position to follow up that incredibly detailed and thoughtful
Yeah,
response.
it sounds good. So I'm going with John of House Lock.
Hmm.
I had to think
Yeah.
a lot about the sigil. Initially, I thought it'd be fun if the sigil was like a mouse trap or something like that, but no, ultimately, I decided it had to be the original symbol, which is going to be a wild boar. And of course, his house motto has to be something like, never tell a lock what he can't do, or something like that. I think that's the right
Hmm.
move there.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought through an armor set, so this is where the detail of the image maybe is missing. But for his weapons, I was thinking that he had to have pretty significant sets of knives, multiple knives strapped all over his armor. They're throwing knives, they're short range knife, stabbing knives, whatever knife John of House Lock needs. He has had those forged. He is a confident, which is why I went away from the mousetrap option. A confident hunter, tracker, all the things we need. We need Locke to be. We want Locke to be, and in this world, somehow he is flourishing.
Beautiful. Joe Garfein, two beautiful answers to this question. Who are you going to grant this beautiful custom weapon and armor set to?
Dr. Juliet Burke
Yeah.
in Wheel of Time. She's an Aes Sedai,
Okay.
Love
and
it.
she's a healer. So her sigil is just like the medical stuff. It's a Dharma medical situation on her sigil. Okay, and her I wouldn't say it's a weapon because she's a healer. What she has are special, custom, magical surgical tools. And that's what she has, like hidden
Yeah.
in little pockets in her gown.
Amazing. She's got to take somebody's appendix out.
I mean, right? But she could do it magically with her tools or with her mind. I'm not sure. But the long flowing robes, her hair is long and curly and blonde, and she, has zero F's to give, and she'd kick ass. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, these are beautiful. I've got a few options here, but I am going to honor one Kate Austin with a custom set of
Okay.
armor and a custom weapon. This character is such a warrior on this show. I think it's worth mentioning what Joe was just talking about, like that lingering camera so often being objectified, having to exist in this world. If we look at this from a meta level, like this whole obsessive shipping of the character over giving her the opportunity to develop at times. But at the end of the day, she is so often the one who is up against it. She is the one hiding in the tree. She is the one jumping into action, and no one's really ever trying to stop her. Sometimes Jack or Sawyer take their attempt to slow her down, but they never get a chance to actually do it because she is her own person. And when we do finally close out Kate's arc, she is so very much a protector of Claire and of Aaron. She's this honorable person. Not to mention the incredible guns on display, the incredible physical fitness, fortitude, the ability to climb trees, and do anything. So she is going to be granted a very cool and practical set of armor that's going to allow for mobility, but this is not going to be designed by like some video game dude. Like this is going to be, truly practical, something that she would love to wear that would be tactical, useful. It's going to allow for mobility. Um, and she is going to have some sort of a custom bow going on
Ooh.
so that she can fight
Yeah.
from a distance. Since you all were so kind to get so into this question, I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. Chris and I recently guested on a pod to talk about Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So I'm thinking maybe we get a nice little like Legolas style dagger for up close combat. Uh, when everything else goes, when everything falls apart and we've got to go hand to hand, when the tactical
Yes.
choices don't add up, she is ready to ride into battle. And as for that sigil, uh, it's going to be a wolf cub to help indicate not only that she is a free spirit, but her role as a protector.
I love that. And then
Brilliant.
the nod to her role in The Hobbit with the bow is
Yes.
nice too. I mean, that's
I,
perfect.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it out loud because, ugh. But,
It's the
but
nod.
yes, the
Yeah.
nod. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, listen, pros and cons of The Hobbit aside, casting Evangeline Lilly as an elf makes a lot of sense.
Fair.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
so there you go.
Well,
Um,
you three absolutely crushed that. That was awesome. John of House Locke. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
that was some good stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Well, it's been fun celebrating Lost with you all, but we consume television in a totally different way today, in this streaming heavy world. And with that, we have these new titans of the industry. And so, Joe, you get to celebrate with the auction a handful of really big, big titles coming out of streaming television. We're talking about Severance, The Bear, which you've already featured some, Ted Lasso, and Yellow Jackets. Ooh, it gives me the shivers. What have you got from some of these cool properties?
Well, Severance, a friend of mine who from the Bay Area, a documentary and filmmaker, was lucky enough to get one of those, got 2 seasons worth of Severance
Yeah.
promo boxes, which is like they're super, super rare. This one is like I know that not everyone's on visual, but a yay high cardboard box mini refrigerator with 9 windows and 9 boxes that have very specific Lumen and Severance things. There's a mug, there's a brand new set of AirPods with a case that says any on it, which is super cool. There is
Very
a
cool.
squeezable goat. If you watched last season, you know what I'm referring to. There's actual like candy and dried vegetables because why not? It's a vending machine. So that's
Hmm.
a really, really cool rare collectible. I also have a little bit of Severance art. So many great fan artists out there. So I have a little bit of Severance art. As for the bear, I not only have that lunchbox I showed you, I have a bear apron from Comic-Con, from a very rare bear apron, a bear t-shirt. I
Mm.
have a photo signed by Iowa Debris, and I have someone made art of that episode, that amazing episode of season 1, The Fishes, where he goes to his mom's house and Jamie Lee Curtis
Seven
crashes through.
Fishes, yeah.
It's the iconic episode.
Yeah.
Someone made a VHS cassette tape and made art from that episode on the VHS cassette tape. It's super cool. It's super
So
cool.
cool.
Yeah. And then for Ted Lasso, I have this artist made very limited edition art, like look like baseball cards, but trading card of
Mm.
Ted Lasso. And it's numbered on the back. And it's like a
Mm.
Ted Lasso trading card. And then I have a little hand painted. This artist Martin at Comic Con donated this little cute. He does the characters with cats. So it's Ted Lasso with cat versions of the characters, and it's super cute. And then as for Yellow Jackets, I have a pop signed by the great Jasmine Savoy Brown, who plays Thaisa. So I have a pop from her, and I have from Comic Con a couple years ago a jar of honey. They made honey up the ranch at one of the seasons of Yellow Jackets, and then a deck of Yellow Jackets playing cards. So just stuff like that, like small stuff, big stuff, a wide variety.
So, so, so fun. I want some Ted Lasso trading cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
for
just
I
it's just one
mean,
card. Hey, I got a big believe sign over my office over there, but it's a one trading card and it sells for hundreds of dollars on eBay.
so, so
So,
cool.
yeah,
Wow.
it's super cool. Yeah.
I'm off to Kansas City tomorrow, his hometown. So maybe I'll spot old Ted.
There you go.
I think they're actually filming right now.
Yeah.
Um,
mm.
well, so for this mini game, we're going to go back to the actors again, and we're going to insert another lost actor into one of these titles. Like before, once a property has been chosen, it's off the board. So we're only going to hear from each property once. John Aspler, you get to go first on this one.
Excellent. Good. I had 2 choices and then nothing after that. So fantastic. So I am gonna take Severance. Apologies. And I'm gonna go with Daniel Day Kim. And the main
Yes.
reason is a scene in season 2 where Hurley's having a bit of a fever dream, island vision, who knows, and Jin comes to him and is suddenly able to speak English, and he says, "Have a cluckety cluck 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 day." And just
Yeah.
the way that Daniel Day
Hmm.
Kim embodies this, like it just feels like an innie. Looking back on that scene, I'm like, that's Daniel Day Kim. That's Jin's innie, who for some reason can speak English perfectly. So I just feel
Hmm.
like he's got a lot of range, and he can really play that kind of like naive, fun innocence that an innie has, while also being in every other role we've ever seen him in. Fire Lord Ozai or
Mhm.
Yeah.
on The Good Doctor, like usually a very cynical character.
Yeah.
And Jin, of course, is one of my favorite characters on Lost. So yeah, that's the pick.
Good
Excellent.
choice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That was
Good fun.
my exact pick, John. Daniel Day Kim in Severance. Like I think about that sequence where Mr. Milchick is asking Mark if he can make his eyes look kind. Daniel Day Kim, that's his natural state of being. So yeah.
100%.
Some kind eyes.
Beautiful. Sorry.
Hey, I mean, you're playing the game right, John. You're playing the game right. Joe, we'll go to you next.
Okay, this one you're not going to be expecting. I'm
Ooh.
going Jeff Fahey on the bear.
Yes.
I'm going
Whoa.
Lapidus because he can show up in many, many ways. He could be a distant relative of that crazy family at the center, or he's a refined food critic who doesn't look like a refined food critic,
Mm.
and he comes in and
Love
throws
that.
like
Yes.
the whole thing off, something like that. Or he could be yet another uncle, but I just feel like Fahey, he picks and chooses very carefully his roles. Most people don't know he spends most of his time year round helping build churches and schools and doing charity work all around the world. So he picks and chooses. I feel like the bear is so particular that Fahey would fit right in, even just for a few episodes.
Mm.
Very cool. What a fun pick. Love that show. And anytime I can get Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Randy, do you want a minute to figure out where you're going to go now that Severance is off the board? Or do you want to go next year? You ready?
No, I'm good. I'm good to go.
Let's
I'm good
go.
to go. Um, I do feel a little bit bad because you probably want Ted Lasso, but I am going to steal it from you this
Take
time,
it.
Chris.
Take it.
There are a lot of people who would work here. But the thing that hit me really quickly when I was thinking about Ted Lasso is Henry Ian Cusick is a former soccer player, um, a bit grizzled, someone
Mhm.
who has to be won over. I don't know much about his role beyond that. But I just know he would fit, you know. I can see him running up those stadium steps. I can see him manning that one-man sailboat. And he's got the look and the feel and the vibe and the confidence. And should anyone want him to unbutton buttons, that might be something a former soccer player could pull off.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Hmm.
I will
Great.
say Fahey was going to be my pick for the White Lotus,
Ooh.
Ooh,
for
Like a
that
Goggins type.
beachside. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Grizzled.
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Approved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that. I had Don Monahan heading into Ted Lasso if
Nice.
I had my way.
For sure. Yeah, yeah.
Had a whole story for him. But no, I'm
Tell
thrilled
us
to
the
be able
story.
to.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, I want to hear
No,
the story.
no, it's okay. But he's a villain. Just so you know, he's a villain. But
Perfect. Okay.
he's like all right. He's like a fake Ted Lasso. He's somebody who's like charming folks like Ted
Mm,
Lasso. We think that he might, but he's conniving. He's dishonest. He's not Ted Lasso. Anywho, Yellow Jackets. This is my opportunity to revisit my favorite version of Sun, badass Sun. I'm gonna put Yunjin
yeah.
Kim here into Yellow Jackets. I feel like she slots
Good one.
into this world so well. Not that I want to
Totally.
put her in another tortured survival situation. That's not fair to her,
Right.
but we all know she can do it. So yeah, easy pick for me there for Yellow Jackets.
Nice.
Well, I
Nice.
feel like she'd be one of the present day off the
Yes.
island,
Yeah.
as it were,
A
people.
hundred
So
percent.
at least Yun Jin Kim herself would not be in the tortured
Right.
situation. She would
Yeah.
be
Right.
back in, or
Having to
I mean,
portray the trauma, but not necessarily the
Yes.
survival. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Wonderful.
funny for initially again I read this question like plop a lost character in, so I was like,
Right.
Yeah.
okay, who seems most like they would eat people, and the answer was season six Claire. But then I realized it was actors, and I was like, okay, never mind. Let's go in a different
Yeah.
direction with this.
Can I
And I
Yes.
just
Yes.
go ahead, Joe? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I also like you like picked characters more than actors, and I thought Alex Rousseau would be
Mm-hmm.
on the soccer team, and she would
Yes.
be on the island, on the island stranded. Yeah.
Great.
And she would F things up. So yeah.
I could also see that actress
Yeah.
on the show quite
Tanya
easily.
Raymond. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Who's super cool. She signed that Lost poster. She was at the premiere. So that was
Yes.
very, very cool. Yeah.
Great
She's
pick.
cool.
I just have to tell you my stupid joke answer that I had for Yellow Jackets because I didn't come up with a great one right away. And I was just going to say, we are going to audition every single adult who used to be one of the baby Aarons to find our next star.
That's a
Dude,
good one.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's
Hmm.
really good.
Or Ji Yeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
All right.
All right. We are shockingly on to our final mini game. But this is one of the most well-represented categories, and this is science fiction. We've got selections from Doctor Who, Star Trek, Fallout, Fringe, the aforementioned The 100, Stranger Things, Winona Earp. I wouldn't even be shocked if there's something else on that list. Uh,
Probably.
but Joe, do you have any other favorite sci-fi items you want to mention?
I've never watched Doctor Who. I know it's a big undertaking that you have to figure out where to even start. But again, I get a lot of my stuff from Comic-Con, so I have a really cool like rubbery TARDIS from last
Mm,
year, and then a T-shirt with Ncuti Gatwa, who was, I believe,
nice.
the Doctor last year. And then Star Trek. It's super cool. I have random stuff from Comic-Cons in this package for Star Trek, but then Giacchino signed and donated DVDs for two of the Star Trek movies. So I threw those in because he was a composer for the Star Trek movies. So I have a giant random Star Trek package for TV and film. Fallout, very good friends with the folks who make Fallout, and a lot of them came from Lost. So they sent a framed 11 and a half, 11 by 17, I believe, promo art signed by the three leads, by Walton Goggins and Ella Purnell and Aaron Moten. So that's super cool. And then I'm saving it for next year or the year after, but they sent
Hmm.
me a prototype of the Ghoul, of an action figure of
Oh,
the Ghoul,
wow.
but it's a prototype. So I was going to get it signed by Walton Goggins at a convention coming up, but that convention was canceled. So
Wow.
I'm just going to hold on to the pop, to not, no, it's not even a pop. It's an action figure, and get it signed in the future by Goggins because I feel like that would be a big ticket item.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a tease for the future. So Fringe, Jeff Pinkner is a good friend of mine. He produced Lost. He produced Fringe. He produces From, which is my connection to all of it. He sent me a box set of the entire Fringe show, signed that. He sent me the same for Alias. And we
Nice.
have the Fringe fedora. He also donated a really cool heavy jacket that says the Fringe division on it.
Ooh.
Super rare, things like that. Again, From, I have temporary tattoos of the creepy things from and the signed art. And they also sent crew t-shirts, crew sweatshirts. We're talking like car hat, good items, and a
Mm.
really cool bomber jacket from the crew. So we are
Ooh.
set with From stuff. The 100, I showed you the poster. So the actress who played Octavia, Marie Avgeropoulos, also put out a debut album this year, and she's a drummer. So she signed and donated her debut vinyl, which is super cool.
Dude,
So I
Cool.
have that. I know.
Yeah.
And
Very
Stranger,
cool.
I mean, I have like this thing, being friends with people who are on these shows are like, do you want this? I'm like, well, if you're involved, yes, I want this because the fans will want this. The only thing I have from Stranger Things this year is a pop signed by the Max Pop. And again, my brain is on California time. I apologize. I'm blanking on the actress who was in the Taylor Swift video. Sadie Sink, thank you. I knew it would come
yes.
to me. Woo!
John
Just got
Proctor
nominated.
is the villain.
Exactly. I was gonna say she just got nominated for that, I think. So I have a signed pop from her, and then Winona Earp is a personal favorite of mine and of so many people in my community, and so I have a Winona Earp Chase pop signed by the great Melanie Scrofano. So
Nice.
well represented, lots of sci-fi. You're right. I think there's more, but again, my brain can't think of it right now. But that's
Nice.
my favorite genre, and I have a lot of friends in that genre, which is why it's well represented in the auction.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Joe. So for this final mini game, I've got a little menu of questions. Everyone's going to pick one. As each question is answered, it's then off the table. So it's going to be a diminishing number of questions available to each person. Our options are: which lost character should join Team TARDIS? Which lost character should join Starfleet? Which lost character should run a Fallout vault? Which lost character should join the Hellfire Club? And a slightly different flavor of question: which Cancer Gets Lost sci-fi show should Lost fans watch next if they haven't already watched it? So, Joe, I'm going to go to you first on this one. You get the full menu of 5 questions.
I'm gonna go which lost character should join the Hellfire Club, and I'm
Nice.
gonna go with Charlie Pace. I just feel like Charlie Pace, rock and roll, probably did a little Dungeons and Dragons in his day. I just feel like he has the vibe of a Stranger Things character. And my backup would have been Miles Strong in his goth with his spiked hair, that Miles Strong age. But
Yeah.
I'm going
Nice.
with Charlie Pace.
Great pick. Perfect
Yeah,
pick.
yeah.
So I fully I should have realized this was Stranger Things. It was one of the written down shows, and I've seen season one, but I thought this was the X-Men Hellfire Club. And funnily enough, my answer was also going to be Miles Strom. So,
So there
but like
you go.
anyway, yeah, whatever.
Wonderful.
Do you know what my Hellfire Club was going to be? Was Sawyer, the guy who's always reading with a soft inside, very freaks and geeks. I'm sorry.
I like it.
Adorable.
That was the rudest possible way to smuggle something in, but what are you going to do? All right. Dr. John, why don't you pick your question next?
So I'm going to go with Starfleet, which lost characters should join Starfleet. And it's funny, I've been trying to find a way to plug Jack in at any point, and just it never really worked. And I
Yeah.
think that Jack has like really big Starfleet admiral who comes onto the Enterprise and fucks everything up by just following the rules to the letter, and in doing so makes the wrong moral decisions. Like
Yeah.
Star Trek
Yes.
has really big chaotic good energy when it comes to the moral decision making on that show, and Jack does not. Maybe later, but he's very like lawful, good, neutral. I don't know,
Yeah,
toxic,
that's
lawful,
great.
good, whatever. So
Perfect
that's it.
pick. Perfect
You know
pick.
what? And then at the end of his arc, the Doctor, uh, played by Juliet Burke, is going to like lead the mutiny to take him out of power. I love it.
There it is. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. My Starfleet pick was Jinsu Kwan. I just thought he'd look amazing in a
Yeah,
uniform.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah, get
for
that man in a
sure.
Yes.
uniform.
Chris Ingersoll, which sci-fi question are you going to grab?
Uh, buddy, thanks to you, I feel equipped. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna go to the world of Doctor Who here, Joe. If you do so choose to venture forth into the world of Doctor Who, I suggest you get yourself a doctor. I've been serving as the companion to Randy's doctor for some time now, and he's
Hmm.
lovingly guiding me through this very complex and deep world.
Okay.
Uh, and because he has been doing so, I think I feel equipped to answer this question.
Yeah.
Who's joining Team TARDIS? It's Alex Rousseau.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Uh, this is the moment. Sorry to let you down, Randy, but I love the idea of Alex, who's had this insane life on this island with this insane father, who's gonna die for this insane man.
Hmm.
The gun goes off, and she wakes up on the TARDIS,
Yeah.
and she's been plucked from that moment by the Doctor, and she's gonna go off and have some adventures instead. And I'm just so curious to see what she gets up to in this big wide universe.
I'm just really excited about that Heaven Sent reference helping to inspire your choice.
Yes, sir.
Your very first episode of Doctor Who. I'm
Yes,
feeling
sir.
emotional just thinking back to it. I believe that was our second podcast together. So there you have it. Uh, that's such a great pick. Yeah, I was thinking along similar lines there. I was gonna go with my girl Claire. Because I won't go through the whole thing. We know I love Claire. We know all the
Yeah.
potential I saw for that character, especially in season one. And that like baseline goodness that the Doctor is so often drawn to was
Mhm.
definitely there with Claire. All right, I know which question I'm gonna go with. My only disappointment is like I feel like I should have been more creative, but sometimes the answer is just like so obvious you can't not say it. Um, I really want to mix it up. All right, I'm gonna go with the Witch Lost character should run a Fallout vault, and this one's a little bit confusing, because we do get an appearance from Michael Emerson
Oh, okay.
on this series, which might make things a little bit confusing. Um, to say Benjamin Linus belongs leading a Fallout vault, is so obvious because that's basically what his character is. He is running a Fallout vault. He is using everyone as an experiment, manipulating everyone. He's convinced certain players on his team to buy into all of these lies and myths and these webs that he is spinning. Um, he was absolutely made for the job. I, you know, Fallout, versions of Fallout did exist before Lost. But I can only imagine that that television show worked because you've got Lost fans attached to the team. I think Benjamin Linus helped make that a better property. So yeah, I am gonna say Benjamin Linus.
Great pick. He makes everything
Yeah,
better. It's a great pick. I had James Ford, Sawyer Ford, of course, running
yeah,
Fallout.
And I had Locke.
Of
yeah,
course, naturally, yes.
yeah.
He was resourceful.
If Sawyer ran the vault, that would be like the vault you're rooting for. That's like surviving against all the ones that have gone haywire. So I love that pick.
Yeah.
I'd
Um,
like, side note, I don't have anything from Silo, but I love Silo. And I would like to see Michael Emerson on Silo.
I love that. Yeah, I would love to see Michael Emerson
On anything.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just in everything. Yeah.
Yeah, just put a dash of him, on every meal. He's the perfect flavor complement. no matter where he is.
every once in a while I daydream. I don't think it ever came to be, but like within the first few years after Lost went off the air, there was at least some show in development that was supposed to be Terry O'Quinn and Michael Emerson. I think they were supposed to be like former hitmen or something, and I don't think it ever came together. But I remember I was so excited reading about that potential series, and
You never know.
I'm sure it would have ruled. Hey, it's not too late for them to get together. I would still watch those two on camera in a heartbeat. Um, all right, folks, before we wrap things up and thank Joe one last time, I've just got a quick question for Chris and John. Chris, after hearing about all these great items today, which thing that you heard about today are you most likely to consider putting in a bid for?
The Batman item.
The the sheet music, yes.
Yeah, it's Giacchino's signed Batman sheet music. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
John Aspler, same question. After hearing all these options, which item are you most likely to call me up and say, "Hey, Randy, I need to use your address so I can get this lost item." What's it going to be?
It's tough because I really want to say Giacono Star Trek scores, but I think I'm going to say the Fringe Fedora. I think it's just
Ooh.
so fun. I love
Yeah,
the
Very good.
observers. It's such a good object.
And you could actually wear it if you wanted.
hmm
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
The Getting Lost Blu-ray is a top pick for me too. I love physical
Yeah.
media.
Yes, same. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now,
What what about
uh,
you?
well, yeah, I was just gonna say I teased at the top of the episode. There was one item I was like salivating for the most. Um, and in season two of Severance, I wrote like pretty in-depth week-to-week coverage of every single episode. Um, earlier this week, I interviewed Eric J. Carlson, who is Adam Scott's stand-in on Severance, and we had a really fun
Cool.
chat. He's also the Mark Watcher, if anyone watches Severance during the moment of a big reveal. So. Yeah, it's the Lumen vending machine prop that our aforementioned Joanna Robinson opened on a podcast and talked to everyone through. I would love to get my hands on one of those just to like fully solidify myself as a true Severance super fan. Joe, you hinted at a couple things you were interested in, but I'm going to give you a chance to answer one more time. If you were to bid on one of your own items, right? Making sure that money
Right.
goes to a good place. What would
Yeah.
it be?
Probably the Agatha All Along
Yeah.
pops.
Mm,
I have
Rio.
in my own collection some, rare pops and also signed pops, so those would go really nicely. I do have a large collection of kick-ass lady pops, so I'm just
hmm
saying yes. But I tend to not bid in my own auctions, but when I sometimes obtain these items, I'm like, oh my God, I want this. But I love that because someone else will want it more than me and make a huge donation for cancer charity. So win-win.
Uh,
Beautiful.
Joe, I just have to tell you, just over my screen, I have a bunch of pops on a shelf,
Yeah,
and the pop who is front and center is Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, is one of those
nice.
badass females. So,
Is it the one of pop with her with the cigar in her mouth?
yeah, well, it's between her fingers, but yes,
Okay, okay,
but
yeah,
she's
yeah,
got it like ready to go.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Love her.
Alrighty. Well, Joe, thank you so much for being so generous with your time, giving us this special insight into the auction. And I really hope some of our listeners will get out there and check it out. And again, if you're like Joe's mom and pop culture is not really your thing, this is a great opportunity to go contribute to a great cause, help people get the word out. Share the items from your particular fandom on your particular socials. I know every time Dr. John pops on the podcast, he's got like an incredible network of Lost fans. I'm sure most of them already know about this auction, but I suspect he's going to be on the boards later mentioning some of these items that came up.
Yes.
Just Joe, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I really hope we get to chat with you again, whether it's for another hype draft, for a deep dive into an episode or a game. You're just always a pleasure to chat with.
I appreciate the opportunity, you guys, to help promote it. I know you're such huge fans of not just Lost, but pop culture. So I love talking to people who share that passion for both
Mm.
giving back and pop culture, because we are standing at the intersection of that. I also forgot to mention that this Sunday, I don't know when this is going to be airing, but August 3rd is when the registration opens for the auction, which means every single person will then be able to see all the auction items, all the details, all the shipping
Mm.
costs, and then sort of think about their own maybe bank accounts. And also
Yeah.
you can register if you have a US shipping address, you can register and then bookmark anything you want to watch the progress of them. And the auction, when it ends on the 23rd at 4:15 p.m., because I couldn't pick a lost number, 8 p.m. was too late, 8:15. It closes if there's a bid on an item in the last minute. It then reopens and there's a bidding war for 3 minutes. It happens 3 different times. So sometimes the bids get out of control and it makes me cry because all that money goes to charity. So like I love a bidding war and it's really fun to watch the auction close even if you're not participating in it. So, grab a cold beverage on your favorite couch and on Saturday the 23rd, you can literally open your laptop or your phone and watch the auction items bidding wars one at a time. And then at the end of the night, I announce how much money was raised and I cry and then I go to sleep and then I get up and start the hardest process, which is individual invoicing. So it's all worth
Yep.
it. But it's super fun to watch even if you're not participating. So thank you guys again for allowing me to promote Cancer Gets Lost and all of the fundraising I do for cancer charities. It means a lot.
Perfect. John Aspler, thank you for being here to bring your wisdom and your insight. You're such a good dude, and it's just been so nice to be here chatting with you once again. Do you have any closing thoughts on Cancer Gets Lost or any of the properties we talked about tonight?
No, I'll just say it's sort of a weird thing to say, but like such a big fan, Joe, fan of a fan. I'm sure you get that all the time. I think the work you do is incredible. And yeah, just really delighted to have met you on the pod and been able to chat Lost with you.
Thank you, Dr. John. I look forward to future pods with you where we could talk more about Lost.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Chris, any closing thoughts on Cancer Gets Lost, the properties we've talked about tonight?
Just a huge thank you to both of our guests,
Yeah.
of course. Thank you for joining us. And Joe, especially to you, thank you for all the hard work you put in to make Cancer Gets Lost a reality. It is incredibly important work, and you do so much. So thank you. You are welcome here to promote this anytime.
Thank you, guys. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Now, typically on the podcast, this is where we get into plugging Media Lit and all of our socials and where you can find our other work. But I think tonight we're just going to skip all that, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think
I
I
love
think
that.
tonight let's just make it about Cancer Gets Lost. Joe already made this an explicit content pod earlier, so thank you. We love an explicit content pod. So I think maybe I'll just wrap by saying fuck
Fuck
cancer.
cancer. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck cancer.
Agreed. And you know what? And I'll just say you can find Cancer Gets Lost at cancergetslost.org and on Instagram at Cancer Gets Lost and Blue Sky as well. You can just Google Cancer Gets Lost. Cancer Gets Lost, you're going to find me. So I appreciate it once again. And yeah, F cancer every which way but loose.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next time.